Okay, we're in class number 5, and we only have one more class. We're actually extending it a week because I had a nice trip to Vegas, and it was a lot of fun. I was telling people it's like the Super Bowl of pool because we were talking about 500 pool tables, everybody from pros down to novices playing in tournaments. Probably there was maybe 15 plus tournaments going on at the same time. So incredible event. I recommend it someday. If you really want to pursue pool, that's one of the things you'd like to do. Anyway, you'll notice that I have the rack set up with 9 balls, okay? And there's a purpose to that. Some of you recognize this. I think Kathy remembers. There's a game that's played oftentimes called short rack 8-ball. Now the point of the game is that you got more space on the table, and it's a little bit easier because you don't have all those clusters and stuff. Now next week, in week number 6, we're going to have a little tournament here that I think will be a lot of fun, and I'd like each of you to be able to play everybody in the class, and the game goes a lot quicker that way. But it's basically a fun thing, and I'll be coming around, when you have questions about a shot or anything like that. We'll try to make it a teaching experience for you, playing each other. And I know competition can sometimes be a lot different. You start to feel like, you feel a little tension in the arm or a little anxiety about what if I miss this and that and that. We haven't really talked a lot about that, but, the psychological part of pool is real important. Once you are able to make the balls and play decent position, it becomes a very mental game, and that's why throughout this class I've emphasized the pre-shot routine, because that's where your comfort zone is. If you have a routine before each shot, just like that expert free throw shooter, and you kind of have an image of where the shot's going. You don't think your way through a rack of balls. You see, and your body will respond accordingly. You see the shot you want to perform. Okay? And, I notice a lot of you, you've learned a lot of things in this class, and there is what I call a learning curve. When you're learning new stuff for the first time, sometimes your game will go down because you're thinking so much about what you're doing. But then once it becomes automatic, then you see a nice little rise. And that's what we're looking for. Now, the tournament we're going to play next week is short rack 8-ball. Now I want to just go through a few racks of it, and I want you to jump in and ask questions. We're going to talk about maybe what's the best to take off the bat, solids or stripes. We'll talk about different shots, but also today I want to do banks and I want to do kick shots. Now, does everybody know the difference between the two? Okay, if I'm calling the 6 over here, that's called a bank because I'm hitting an object ball into the rail. That's a bank shot. But what if I am hooked on the 6 ball like this, and I kick off this rail and make the 6? That would be called a kick shot. And I want to make sure you understand that, so when I'm talking about it, you know what we're doing. All right, let's rack them up. And you notice it's in a diamond, just like 9-ball. And this will be a good hint about how to break a 9-ball. All right? And it really doesn't matter how you rack and short rack 8-ball, as long as the 8-ball is in the middle. The other balls can be just about any way you want. And you notice I have 4 stripes and 4 solids. And again, you'll see me using my fingers and kind of rolling like that to make sure I've got a tight rack. And then slide up. I saw it move. There, good. Now, normally, on a normal 8-ball rack, I would probably break somewhere in the middle and try to make the ball that way. Because as you know, under the BCA or international rules, if you make the 8 on the break, it does not count. You spot it up and you keep shooting. Or you have an option to re-break if you make the 8 on the break. But if playing short rack 8-ball, you definitely would be better to break from the wings Anybody know why it's better to break from the wings? If you have the balls racked in a diamond like this? Well, the idea is, it's just like 9-ball. This 1 ball will often go in the corner pocket, and the front ball might go on the side or down in this corner. So you have a better chance of making balls. Now that I said that, we'll see what happens. So I'm going to hit the 6 pretty flush, dead center ball. I'm going to stroke through it real well. Not a bad break. I didn't make the corner ball, but as you saw, the ball came off and got kicked in the sidewalk. And then, you know, shit happens, right? Okay, let's see, it came down here. All right, now your opponent here gets ball in hand, and guess what? You don't establish your group in 8-ball until you make your first called shot. So the incoming player, after the scratch on the break, can put the cue ball anywhere on the table, okay? Now, what should you recommend, stripes or solids here? What would be the best to shoot? Solids. Okay, and why? Yeah. All right, the 11 ball is out of commission. All the other balls are fairly open, right? So if I play in fact, that's one of the things you want to think about when you're playing 8-ball, is where are your trouble balls, you know, the balls that are going to give you problems. A lot of people might take a real simple shot like this first and leave that for last, and it's very difficult to get position. So, and you think about maybe what ball might be good to shoot last before you make the 8-ball. You know, if I make the 3 and get position on the 2 here, and then come down for the 6, I'll have a nice easy shot of the 8. So the pattern I see right off the bat is 3 to the 2 and the 6. Now if I went from the 3 to the 6, boy, what if I went long, or what if I'm short? It's a much easier shot to get from the 3 to the 2, isn't it? And then from the 2 to the 6. And that's kind of the way you think about it in 8-ball. So I'll set the cue ball right here, or I could actually put it here, either place. You like that better? All right. I'll go 1 rail and then bounce out to here. All right. Let's see, I got some chocolate. Jump in and ask questions all through this. Good chance to. Now, well, actually it's not perfect. I would have been better off a little over this side, because when I cut the 2, chances are it's going to hit the 11. So that is a little bit of a problem. Anybody see a way I can get from the 2 to the 6? What would you try to do here? Interesting dilemma, right?
If you hit it nice and high, could you miss the 11?
That's a good question. Actually, if you're standing where I am, you'll see I have too much angle, and I almost have to hit the 11. Or if I stun it, I could go to this side of the 11, or with a little draw. That might be a possibility. But there's really no way that I can make the 2 without hitting the 11.
Yeah, you do have the option too to play the 6 here.
Yeah.
And bring the 2
What
back
about
and
that?
bring it back around.
I could go to plan B, right? Good idea. How hard is the
Personal
6?
preference kind of thing.
How
The
hard
problem
is it?
is,
Yeah.
if you shoot too
Both
hard,
sides.
you will be in position for
Yeah, if I make the 6, the cue ball's probably going to run a little too far this way, right? Unless I hit it real easy.
put a little bottom on this shot.
Okay, all right, good. Now, bottom, we call that a drag shot. If I hit it real low, it'll go a little ways and slow down a little.
Right.
We call that a drag shot, okay? And that's kind of an advanced shot that probably a lot of you have never thought about. But I think I like that better. In fact, if I put a little right English, I could hit the rail here and come towards the 2 ball.
Yeah.
That's,
So my original plan has changed, hasn't it? So we're going to put a little right English, cut the 6 in there.
Now, when you say a little right English, was that a full tip's width or half a tip's width?
That was about a half a tip. You never want to use too much English, otherwise I would have jeopardized making a ball. All right? Little bits of English. You watch the pros play, that's the way they play. And sometimes I use full. Now, this is an interesting situation. I did pretty well. That's about as good as I could get. And it helped that I hit a second rail to slow the cue ball down. All right. So what do you think's the right shot here? Thanks, Cliff. And by the way, all these classes are in video, so
With the right ball speed, you should be able to make that, hit the rail, and then be coming back over somewhere with the right ball speed.
yeah. And I know
All about ball
obviously
speed.
this side is no good because I can't make it in the side and the corner's blocked. So you know, to get it to this side, main thing I don't want to scratch, right? So I'm going to actually have you could put a little English on this too. All right? So I'm going to hit a little right English, go into the rail, and come back to this position for the 8. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's see how we can do. This is one of those that I'm worried about scratching here, so that's why I'm going to use English. You notice I was real careful not to get near that side pocket. Now, I don't like this shot because I'm shooting over a ball. Here would have been better, here would have been better, right? All right. But when you're shooting over a ball, this is kind of a good lesson. You want to make sure to line it up like a normal shot, like the 10's not there. In other words, I'm seeing my line, I'm standing up above the shot. But as I take my stance, I'm going to get like this and slowly lift up the back of my cue. Not like this, just high enough to get over the 10 ball. One of the biggest errors when shooting over a ball is trying to get too high over the shot.
What if you hit the 10 ball with your stick while you're setting up?
Okay, in those cases, if you touch an object ball, one object ball, your opponent has an option to leave it where it lays or have you move
So
it
you
back.
just stop back off, pass.
Yeah, you ask your opponent at that point. But if I touch 2 object balls, it's a foul. All right, and that would be ball in hand anywhere. If I hit the cue ball with my tip accidentally, that's also a foul. All right.
And if you see there's another ball right next to the 10, you hit the 10 and it hits the other ball.
Yeah, that would be a foul
That's a
also
foul.
because you move
The
2
2 balls
balls.
are-
Yeah, exactly. Watch out. All right. Finding my line, seeing it, standing up above the shot. Step into it. And again, see what I'm doing? I'm on like I'm shooting a normal shot. Then I slowly lift up the back. Okay? And I want to take a nice smooth stroke. Let's do another rack. Is this fun for you?
Yeah.
All right. All right. But this is what you'll be doing next week. And, you know, don't worry if you're a non-experienced pool player. This is about learning the game. And by playing short rack 8 ball, it makes it a little simpler, you know.
So now,
Yeah.
we haven't spent much time on English, but you used English on 2 out of the 3
Well-
shots.
You know, I've been playing for almost 60 years.
Right.
So English to me is second nature. But to you, it's not going to be, right? We'll do a little on English today and some next week. But, you know, we have a lot of players in the league that, you know, will English almost every shot they shoot. And that's when it gets to be a problem because you can do most things without English. The reason I used English on that shot was to avoid scratching. The other shot was to slow the cue ball down so I hit a second rail.
So
Yeah.
if you weren't skilled at English like you are, would you probably would have done that whole thing different?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Especially that 6 ball that I shot in the corner. That was a very difficult shot because by using that English, it changed the way the cue ball
Your
went down
aiming
the
point.
table. It maybe curved a little bit, you know? And you notice I'm taking great care to rack. Very important. There you go. All right, should I break from the other side this time? Maybe I'll be a little more lucky. And again, in short rack 8-ball, you want it to break from the wings. Same pre-shot routine, nice warm-up strokes. I want to hit it as flush as I can. And you notice that corner ball went again, right? So that's why you break from the wings. I made the corner ball from there, and I made the corner ball from there.
If you're right
Wow, interesting rack, huh?
So when you're breaking from the side like that, are you hitting the front ball solid, or are you hitting it out
Solid.
from the side? Just
See, the flusher you hit the head ball, the more reaction you get from the ball. It's more power. Yeah, better spread.
Just out of curiosity. So here's your front ball.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
your
no,
contact
no,
point?
no.
That's your contact
No, this is flush.
Okay, so
From the
straight out.
direction,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
See, if he hits the top, that cue ball's going to fly around the table, and that's what you want to avoid. You always want to keep the cue ball somewhere in the center.
If you're right-handed, is there an advantage of hitting on one side or the other?
No, I break from both sides. It doesn't matter. I could. Some people probably feel more comfortable. It doesn't matter if you, I don't think. I believe that I can break harder and get more power when I have my hand on the on the rail like this, because I can really let it accelerate through better instead of using my hand on the table.
What are the rules for, so many balls have to hit a rail after you break?
Okay, an 8-ball, you got to have 4 balls hit the rail. Otherwise, you can make the guy break over or take the break yourself.
Does that include the cue ball?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
3.
3 balls in the cue ball. Now that rarely comes up, but some people have adopted what's called the soft break.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they don't allow that. You know, that's why, because you might be playing a real good player, you try to frustrate them, and you'll just tap the rack of balls. The game will take forever, you know what I mean? I've seen people do that to me
Heck, yes.
several times.
Yeah, they did.
All right, good questions.
So, and that same question,
Yeah,
can 4 rails have to be hit? Can the same ball hit multiple rails, or 4 balls?
oh no,
have to hit a
4
rail?
balls, including the cue ball, have to hit a rail. And if that doesn't happen, your opponent can either let you break again, or that your opponent can break it from him or herself.
So when they do that to you, you have them do it, or?
Well, if they get 4 balls to the rail, I can't do anything, but I just shake my head and say, that's not the point of the game,
So you would just rack it and let them break again? Or switch
if they
break?
didn't do it, if they were going to do that same break, I think I would break them. It would depend. I mean, I don't know what you think of that. Would that bother you if somebody just tapped the balls and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you do it accidentally.
Well, I mean, that's okay if it's accidentally, but Anyway, the break here, I've got 2 hanging balls. Now, what balls are out of commission right here? 11 for sure, and also the 2. But I could play a combination of the 2. And once I make the 1, then I'll have a shot on the 2, right? But the cue ball's right there. And again, I did make a ball, but I made a solid. Now, would solids or stripes which would be more advantageous here to take? What do you think?
Solids, if you
I
can
like
make it.
I like the stripes
All right.
myself.
You can make that combo though.
It's a kind of a tough one, because if
That's not an easy combo.
no, it's not an easy combo, because
Well,
I have to hit the rail and then have it come over like.
Well, with it being an open table still, you can combo with any ball.
That's
All right, yeah.
right. Good,
Right?
good.
Isn't that
But
correct?
in this case, I can't hit the 11.
You can't hit the 11.
Yeah,
so.
but what you just said is absolutely
If the six
the
ball
whole
weren't there, it
point.
would work.
When the table is open, you can use a stripe to make a solid, or a stripe to make a solid, you know, or a solid to make a stripe. And then after that, you must, once you've established your group, then you must make a legal shot, you know, by hitting your group first. Anyway, I can tell you what I would do here. I think I would go ahead and try to make the 1 with the 2. The reason why I don't like stripes is because the 11 ball is just, you know, doesn't really. I could shoot the 15 and then bank the 11. That would be one possibility. Anybody else with an opinion?
So where would you try to leave the cue if you did the combo?
Well, the 2 ball is going to hit the 1, and the 2 ball is going to come over here, right?
So if you keep the cue ball right
Yeah,
there.
so if I stop the cue ball right there, I think I'll be all right. I hope. But I'm always, you know, that's my mentality because I've been playing for 50, 60 years. So I always want to win the game right now. But sometimes it's not advantageous to try to win because the balls are in a position where it's just too tough. It's too tough. So we'll try that, see what happens.
So you're gonna
I'm
put
going
ball-
to try to, I'm going to call the 1 ball, and I'm just going to hit a stop shot. And I'm going to want the 2 ball to hit this side of the 1 and roll over here so I have a shot.
It's gonna hit the 11.
So to get that shot, are you hitting the rail?
What's going to hit the 11?
2 ball.
Maybe not.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah, you're right, you could.
It's still probably gonna knock the 1 in, but I think you're gonna make contact with the 11.
Okay. All right. It's close. You're right. Well, I'm alive, and I do have a shot on the 2.
Yeah.
So the double kiss is okay?
Hey, ball in pocket.
That
Ball in pocket.
That's
Yeah.
what I love to tell.
Yeah. Now, this is a real interesting shot. I am not going to shoot the 6 because that's just an incredibly hard shot. And because I have a little angle, I'd probably get caught back here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go rail first and make the 2 and try to bring it all the way around. Come on, cue ball. Get up here, get up here. All right, so now that worked out better than I can't believe how good that worked out. Now the 10 ball's blocking that pocket.
Can you,
Yeah,
can you like bottom right that and bring it? keep
Yeah.
all the way
exactly.
there?
And here's another time, I hate to say it, I gotta use English, don't I? Because without English, my cue ball's gonna end up back here. So what kind of English do I need to get my cue ball over here?
All right.
Right English, of course. And that's really all I need is a little bit of right English and take me about to this diamond. That's where I want to go into the line of the 8 ball.
Right center or a little bit left?
Right center, yeah. Maybe a little bit of low too. A little bit of low, like about like that.
All right. I'll take that.
All right, and then 8 ball. And again, there's a thing called gentleman or gentleperson rules. If it's obvious what you're shooting, like, you always have to call the 8, but if those shots that I was shooting, if it's obvious, you don't need to say it. But if it's a combination or a bank or something that might cause confusion to your opponent, you definitely need to call it. Because a lot of times in league, you're in a loud bar with music playing and all that. So a lot of people might just point to the pocket, and that works also. Every shot, go through your pre-shot routine. That's the really important. All right, that was, let me me set up one scenario, because this is part of the game too. Let me get a couple of solids up here. All right, let's say you had stripes here, and gotta make it so you can't go. Yeah, about like that. When you get in a position like this, and you notice that your opponent's balls are sitting out on the table in a really good spot. If it was my turn and I had stripes, what would you do in this situation? This is one thing that comes up a lot in 8-ball, because in 8-ball you got a lot of clusters around the table. What can I do from here with stripes?
Play it safe.
Yeah, play it safe for sure. Can anybody see a really good safe?
That's 13.
All right, I could roll the 13 here and hook my opponent behind the 10. This comes up a lot. Or, when you play a safety, you want to help your position. And that would be helping my position. But another way I could do it, I could go off the 9, 1, 2 rails, and put them behind there as well. In other words, those are the kind of things you think about when you don't have a good shot. You want to put your opponent in a bad position. So you'll notice I'll just roll with a rolling ball. And what's my opponent going to do from here? He's going to be lucky. Yeah, he's going to be lucky if he can hit a ball, right? All right, let's try the other one too. I could have done this too. I could have gone off the 9. That was even better. And now, what's my point? You know what's going to happen from here is you'll probably get ball in hand by playing safe. And sometimes when you get ball in hand, that allows you to win the game.
So if he can't hit his object ball, then
He has to make a legal shot. Now, does everybody know what a legal shot is?
Yep.
It means that you have to contact your object ball, whether it's stripe or solid, and make contact with a rail after you hit the object. Either ball. Like, for example, by hitting my object ball to the rail, that's legal. Or I could do this. I could hit my object ball and have the 9 hit the rail. That's also a legal shot.
So any ball or the cue ball has to go to the rail.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can even be an 8-ball. If I did that, that would be a legal shot. But this is not legal if I did something like this. Say I hit the rail first and then hit my object ball, but I didn't hit a rail after contact, so that would be a foul. That's BCA rules. And don't worry about remembering all this. So when we play next week, we'll talk about that.
You know what I've seen happen, and a lot of times it's not even called. Somebody will just have a straight-in shot, like at the 9. They'll hit it, and it'll just hang up.
Oh, yeah. That
Most
is a
people
foul.
don't think to call it.
That's
If
ball in
that's
hand?
ball in hand.
Yeah,
Nothing
that
hit a
is.
rail.
You're right.
I had
Exactly.
to have it on an 8-ball game. It was the opponent. And I said, that's ball in hand. He's like, what do you mean? Nothing hit the rail.
That's
He's
right.
like,
Yeah, that doesn't happen. That happens occasionally. You're right. People don't see it, do they?
yeah. Good point.
Yeah. All right. Here's the next thing. I want to do a little on banks. Now, bank shots, I want to say from the outset, and kick shots are probably the most artistic part of pool. And when I say artistic, there's just so many variables that affect a bank or a kick shot. The humidity, the cloth, the rails, the person's stroke, the speed of the cloth, all that impacts the kicker. And one of the most important things about kicking and banking is to realize that the harder you hit the cue ball into the object ball, like if I'm banking the 3 in this corner pocket, the harder I hit the 3, it's always going to come up a little bit short. If I hit the 3 banking it here a little softer, it tends to go longer. And that's because the object ball, if I'm rolling it softly, is rolling. So when it hits the rail, it spreads more. But if I hit the 3 into the rail and it's sliding, without rolling forward, it comes back a lot short.
A little stun shot kind of example?
Yeah, like, I'll give you a quick example. Let me hit a stun shot with speed. This is about right, but watch where the 3 goes. See how it came up short? If I would hit that softer, it would have gone right in. All right? So that's why I say banking and kicking is artistic. But let's say you have a shot like this. This will happen a lot. You'll have a ball hanging, but your opponent leaves you hooked behind the 3 ball. All right? Now that's a fairly easy kick shot, right? But there is a system that will help you learn how to make these. Some of you better players probably know some of these. But a real easy system is called the midpoint system. So the first thing I'll do is find the midpoint between the cue ball and the object ball I'm trying to kick in. But the midpoint will be from a ghost ball that will make there. So from here to here. So my midpoint's about right there. So I lay my cue across the table like this from where I want to hit the 9. And leave it there and I swing to the midpoint, which is right here. Correct? Now, in order to make the 9, all I have to do is parallel shift my cue. I lift it up and slide it over like this. That's where I need to be. You see how I did that?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go through it one more time. I find the midpoint between where the ball needs to hit the 9 and the cue ball, which is right here. Go across to the middle like that. Now I parallel. And you notice my cue is right where the 9 is on that side of the table. Parallel shift. So it's about an inch to the right of that diamond. Should take me right to the 9.
So when you say an inch to the right of the diamond, are you aiming?
I'm aiming for the right. No, I'm aiming for this part.
So you're always seeing this.
Yeah, I'm always
You're not looking at the rail.
Exactly. You don't worry about the rail. It's where the diamonds are. All right? But let's make it a little tougher, okay? Let's say the 3 is over there. And I'm hooked like this. All right, same exact thing. I find the midpoint between where it would make the 3 and the cue ball, which is right here to here. And go like this, swing it to that midpoint. See how I did that? Now parallel shift. So now, in order to make that 3, I'm about 2.5 to 3 inches to the right.
So when you go to find your midpoint when they're offset like that, you doing a midpoint like this or a midpoint like this?
It's on your
You know
hair.
what I mean?
I'm not sure if I follow it.
So you've got a midpoint that's going this way
Oh,
between those
no,
two.
it's simply the midpoint between
Between
the
the
two
two
balls.
balls.
Yeah, between the 2 balls. Yeah, let's try that again. In fact, I'll put the 15 ball. But the midpoint starts where you want to hit the 3. In other words, I'm going from here to the midpoint between the cue ball and where I want to hit the 3. So that's about right here. So for this kick, I swing it to that midpoint, which is about right there. Now I parallel shift. So now I'm pretty, just slightly right of the diamond, just slightly right of the diamond. you're always going to make contact with this system. And if you hit it a little firmer,
Out of ball speed.
yeah, if I hit that softer, I would have been better. Let's try that again. Swing it to the midpoint, parallel shift. This time we'll hit it a little bit softer. And on diamond tables, one thing you're going to notice right off the bat is they always run short. They don't spread as much as other tables.
Peter,
Yeah, go ahead.
the question would be an alternative.
Yeah.
If you find the midpoint and you find that spot on the tail, the first example was very close to the rail.
Yeah.
You find the spot on that rail there, almost the equivalent spot over there.
Well, that's what I did. You see, wherever the 3 ball is, I just lay my cue across to the other side. Then I swing it to the midpoint like that.
But rather than having to swing your stick around, if you found the spot on the rail that corresponds with
This over here.
and then it's the equivalent one down over here.
Well, you could do that, but you have this parallel shift though. In other words, when I swing it over here, I've got an angle, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
But see, this one gives you the point to aim at rather than the line.
What are you saying? The point on that rail where it crosses is the same point here?
I was wondering.
Is that what you're?
I've heard that before too.
That's a good question.
I don't know the answer to that.
It seems like it'd be simpler.
Oh.
I mean, who's going to put their stick out there?
Oh, I don't ever
Right,
use my
object
stick.
ball.
I'm just demonstrating that.
Yeah.
I would eyeball it. I don't ever do that. And just to, as a learning.
Well, I see people do. People
Yeah,
do.
some people do that kind of thing.
Well, Robert Marino showed me another way to do that
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
That same.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different systems
Yeah,
for that.
a lot.
Yeah. But probably the simplest one, I actually use numbers too, and that's a whole different thing. I'm not going to get into that today. That would take a while to teach. But again, I'm swinging over to the midpoint, parallel shift, slightly.
It's not the same point.
Yeah.
It's not the same point. Right?
Yeah. Anyway, you're always going to hit the ball, and what does that result in?
Good hit.
Your opponent doesn't get ball in hand. All right. Now here's another one. This is a little bit more advanced, but you might be interested in this. A lot of times you get in situations like this. Let's say that you have stripes, and you can't really one rail kick it because the 2 is there. And you want to hit the 15 ball. Now in this particular case, if I want to go 2 rails to hit the 15 and make a legal shot, I do the exact same thing I did with the other system. I find the midpoint between the 15 ball and the cue ball. And the midpoint is right here. And then I aim my cue at the center of the closest pocket, like that. Now I parallel shift to here. And I simply, it's natural now that if I go 2 rails, it'll run right into the 15. The midpoint between the cue ball and the 15, parallel shift to here. And now I'm going to put just a little bit of running movement. And it's an automatic system. It works really good from anywhere. Works anywhere. Let's say it's kind of a different, something like this. Same thing. Nearest pocket, find the midpoint to the center of the pocket. Parallel shift to there. And these go 2 rails. Yeah. So that's another way to ensure you can make a good hit on a ball when you're hooked.
A lot of people would probably think to do that 1 rail kick it.
Well, I just wanted to show you the different systems. But
I almost think that's
sometimes,
a little easier.
a lot of times, the 2 rail is actually easier.
Right.
Yeah.
It does seem easier.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, can you show a 2 rail that brings you back pocket that ball?
Oh,
Say if this,
yeah. Yeah, let's say if I'm hooked like this, like that, and shoe rail it like that. Well, this is where the numbers come in. This is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And this is 30, 50, 70. So I'm at 30, 50 would take me there. 35, 45, or 40, 40. I'm at 40. This is 40, and that's 40 equals 8. So I should be able to make it like this. Yeah, close. Anyway, every table is different.
So you're not worried about where you're hitting it over here. You just did your numbers and then.
I just did the numbers, and that's where the math comes in. I